USCFootball.com, I'm Jack Smith alongside Shotgun Spratling for instant analysis from USC's 29-28 loss on the road at Maryland. Trojans fall under 500 at 3-4, under 500 for the first time in Lincoln Riley's 2.5-year tenure, and it's the first time the head coach has ever been under 500 in his career. It's the same story for USC. Shotgun, another game they were in front, had a 14-point lead at the half, and couldn't battle in the second half and ended up losing a one-score game.
It's just inexcusable to lose in this same fashion over and over to probably worse teams as you go down the stretch. Minnesota and then now Maryland. It is on the road, but a ton of fans had already left the stadium at one point because USC looked like they were, again, similar to Minnesota game, in control, and then they throw an inexcusable interception from Miller Moss. It gets returned, sets them up. One play later, they score. Suddenly it's back to a one-score game when USC could have made it a 3-touchdown lead on that drive, and they were moving the ball well until that play. And then it became a dogfight after that. The crowd got into it. They got some momentum, and USC had to deal with battling and being in the same situation, and then the psyche of being in that same situation. Is it going to happen again? And it did. And it's been different things each time, but this time they have an opportunity on 4th and 2. They decide to kick a 41-yard field goal. I think that is the right decision. On a turf field, you should be able to kick it. They just don't block it. It gets blocked. They return it, set them up. They go down, and you knew they were going to score. I told a couple people, they're going to score. We'll see how much time USC has remaining. They had already gone for 2 the time before. Analytics tells you to do that. They made the right decision there. They get that. So they take the lead with 53 seconds left. USC drives the ball down, gets to the 50, gets down to the 40, has a 4th and 2, and Woody Marks, a throw. He gets hit in the back as he's trying to make the catch and drops the ball. And it's just symptomatic of this team putting them together here. That one of the guys that's most sure-handed on this team that has caught a one-handed catch earlier in the game on a bad throw can't hold on at the end. And it seems like it happens every game where it's a veteran, it's a guy that has made some plays already in the game and can't make that last one. Kamari Ramsey has made a number of plays, can't make a play on a 4th and 5 play, can't make a tackle on it, and they pick up a first down, they score the next play to take the lead. Just seems like that's been the case throughout this entire run that they've on. And then, the 3 and 4, it's inexcusable for USC, unacceptable, and they've got to figure out a way to get over it. I will say that final drive, they were without 5 defensive starters. Kamari Ramsey did not come back in the game after missing that tackle. He looked like he injured his shoulder on the play before that. He was holding his shoulder. Probably should have come out. Greedy Vance looked like he hit his head on a play. Obviously don't have Eric Gentry, don't have Anthony Lucas. You did not have Jacoby Covington again this game. So, there is a built-in excuse there for that. But that goes back to the recruiting and not doing enough in recruiting the last 3 or 4 years to have depth to be able to compete in the Big Ten. And that's been the thing. I said it at the beginning of the season, it won't be the first line of defense for USC, the first offensive line. It'll be when they lose a couple guys, do they have enough depth to be physical with Big Ten teams? And this is not a physical Big Ten team that they played in Maryland. They want to throw the ball around. They threw it for 393 yards, and USC couldn't compete with them. Even their second string couldn't make enough plays. The starters they had on the field, they did get a little bit more pass rush, but they have to blitz to get to a pass rush in this game. All their sacks came from the back 7 guys. So it's just a repeat of all the issues that we've seen from USC. Slow second half start, which has been a common theme the last, 3 games now. Just redux everything over and over, and nothing is changing enough for USC to find a way to get wins right now.
Yeah, USC had a 97.2% win probability with 2:08 left. That's then the blocked field goal, the return that set up Maryland, and of course everything that followed after. But shocking, it didn't even feel like a game that USC deserved to win by the end of it, because Maryland made plenty of mistakes itself. Threw an interception on 4th down in the end zone. That was a huge play. Felt like maybe one of those game-changing plays USC's been looking for from Jalen Smith at the end of a game. Maryland botched an opportunity to kick a field goal at the end of regulation. So there's 2 scores right there. Maryland could have gotten 10 points out of it. Instead, they get 0. USC, Lincoln Riley mentioned it in the post-game press conference, has not been able to separate. That puts them in these positions, and they've lost 4 of these games, practically by the same script. Of course, there's different things that happen every time, but because of their inability to separate in the third quarter for the second straight week, they put themselves in position in this fourth quarter. And Lincoln Riley, it seemed at the end of the game, just didn't have an explanation. They're searching for answers right now, kind of asking him the same questions every week at this point, and they don't know what to say other than we have to get it done, and they just haven't been able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's on everyone. It's not like one player is making one mistake over and over or anything. Like I said, everyone is making one mistake here, one mistake there. They made a number of big-time plays in this game. Jacoby Lane with a remarkable one-handed catch. You saw the Jalen Smith one-handed interception in the end zone on that fourth down play. There's a couple others in there. More than Maryland necessarily made big-time plays, but Maryland made more consistent plays than USC, especially. And USC continues to fade in games. And that tells me that they just don't have the depth that they can rely on to where that their starters are not going to get tired, and they don't have the depth to where they lose guys in a game and a couple guys are down for someone else to step up and make a play. And the offense, again, I thought they could run the ball more. You could have the drive where they end up trying to kick the field goal. Maybe you can run some more clock in that situation, and did not do that. They just do not try to run the ball in the fourth quarter very often. And when they do, it's one time, and then we'll go throw it 2 more times. It's not consistently like, let's get behind the offensive line now. They were throwing the ball better than they were running it this game. They're still running it well enough. And Woody Marks, I think that's the big thing that needs to change, I think, is that they need to get an offensive line and a run game that they can trust at the end of the game to say, we're going to go out there, we know that they know we're going to run the ball, and we're still going to run it down your throat. And they can't do that right now. They don't attempt to do that right now. Even when they probably could do that, they won't attempt it. And because they don't have trust in their run game, that allows clock to stay on, and that allows teams to slowly work their way back into these games. And you make a couple of mistakes, the interception, Millen Moss throws the interception, a bad throw, bad decision to throw it, and it just turns the complete momentum. And then from there, it slowly builds. And even when USC makes some big-time plays like the Jalen Smith interception, Maryland has another opportunity, because you can't salt the game away and just go on one of those chew-it-up 8-minute drives and go punch it in at the end. USC just doesn't have that ability right now, and because of that, they continue to be putting themselves in a situation where they've got to win a shootout late, and they're the team fading while the other team is gaining momentum.
And it felt like the defense's problem had been stopping the run for a long time. Maryland barely attempted to run the ball at all until the end of the game, when they felt like they had worn USC down. They did the opposite of USC, but Maryland was passing the ball the entire game, passed it better than USC did. They went blow for blow and outdid USC through the air. You mentioned that Billy Edwards, the quarterback, 39 of 50 through the air. USC pressured him, only brought him down, I believe, twice, including one big fourth down play from Kamari Ramsey. That could have been the game-sealing play. There were just so many moments where USC would let Maryland back into it, and one too many with the blocked field goal lost him the game.
Yeah, and that's on the offensive line. I don't know exactly who the error was there, but they just burst right through. Michael Lance had no ability to do anything about that. Not on the kicker on that one. He did miss a field goal earlier in the game, but Maryland had jumped off sides, and those are the type of mistakes that Maryland has been making pretty consistently to lose themselves games. And instead, USC couldn't find a way to win and punish them for the mistakes. They did that early one. They turned that into 7 points with a Kyron Hudson touchdown catch. Miller Moss throws for 3 touchdowns, throws for 336 yards. Good game for him. One bad mistake, but it's not enough. And someone has to step up and do that much more, and no one has been able to do that. And we continue to talk about it over and over. It's just kind of ad nauseum right now because it's the same script each game. And I think it all comes back to, until they get a run game where they can trust in the fourth quarter to salt a game away instead of just being like, okay, maybe we can make some plays. They didn't have the 3 and out late like they've been having in games in the fourth quarter. They were able to drive the ball a little bit, but ultimately it comes down to that field goal getting blocked and then allowing Maryland to go down. Fourth down play, have a chance to get off the field. They did it the drive before getting off the field on fourth down. I don't think they brought pressure on that the final play, but Kamari Ramsey is chasing the running back. It's a play that they'd run a few times in this game. Take the running back in motion, then throw it out to him in the flat, and you got to make a one-on-one tackle, and he wasn't able to make that, and they get the first down. They score on the very next play. Jalen Smith, I think, had 11 tackles. He got thrown at a lot in this game. Kamari Ramsey had 7. Keely Arnold Easton Maximilian Arnold both had 6. I think USC had 3 sacks in this game. They had some guys getting in the backfield, but usually it was with blitzes. The pass rush is still struggling to get there. And when you throw 50 times against an offensive line that's not very good, they should be able to get more than 3 sacks, but that was all they were able to get today. And those are the type plays that can change drives. And USC's not making those drive-changing plays enough on defense. They have been really good on third down. Fourth down has been up and down. When the other team gets fourth downs, they win the game. And that happened again this game. Maryland goes 3 for 6 on fourth down. So USC was able to get 3 stops, but still wasn't enough in this one. And ultimately, it's the same whole script over and over. So I don't even know what we're supposed to say different about it. It's unacceptable at USC. Now, you can blame travel. You can blame a new conference. You can blame a lot of different things and try to put a little bit of blame here, a little bit of blame there. But ultimately, someone has to make enough plays. Someone has to make the right play call at the right time to get you off the field. And they did it sometimes. They're not able to do it consistently enough right now. And that's a big issue, I think, with USC is just the consistency of play.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley said they made mistakes you just can't make when playing road football. I took a picture at one point during the third quarter of the section that we're looking out at right now, and it was probably half empty.
Yeah.
And this stadium barely seats 45,000 people. There probably weren't more than 30,000 people that were here. And so much so, in fact, that when they rushed the field, they barely took up half of the field. And this is a place that Maryland lost by 27 points on a Friday last week to Northwestern, a team that obviously is not one of the cream of the crop in the Big Ten. So yes, it's road football. Maybe the road trip is a little bit different for Northwestern than for USC. But at this point, I don't think that's the problem for the Trojans. I think they have so many in-house problems right now and inabilities to just make plays at the end of games that you can lump it into road football. But if this is a road environment that USC struggled in, and if the road environment was the problem, they are going to struggle mightily in the Big Ten because, as I mentioned, there were 30,000 people here, and it got loud with USC fans at points. I didn't think this was hostile whatsoever.
No, it wasn't hostile. It wasn't like they were getting false starts or that they were jumping off sides or anything. They just didn't make enough plays. It has nothing to do with the road or home. This could be a completely neutral site, as far as the impact of the fans in this game. There was no impact there. It was just they didn't make enough plays, and that's been a consistent thing for them. They're not making enough plays. If it's the travel, they don't have to travel again, but maybe next year you have to look at it and say, it doesn't matter if we think this is the best thing, we're going to switch it up. We're going to go on Thursday. We're going to go the day of the game, whatever. You're going to change something up because it did not work this year traveling in the Big Ten to the Eastern time zone, to the Central time zone. USC has not won on this side of the Rocky Mountains, in like 12 years now or something. That's ridiculous against a team like Maryland. They should have beat this team. Why is Maryland storming the field too? It's a 3-3 team versus a 3-3 team. You don't storm the field, but whatever. Hey, have fun, enjoy the night. Maryland fans will be similar to Minnesota when we were leaving the stadium and everyone was highly intoxicated and highly inebriated. I bet that will be the same thing here in College Park. They're going to celebrate this. Mike Loxley, you heard him in the background. The presser was on. He's super excited for his team because they beat a blue blood like USC, but this USC team is not showing that they're a top 25 caliber team because they can't play a full 60 minutes. They can play 45 minutes, and then there's a 15-minute stretch in there somewhere, whether it be 5-5 or whatever, where they don't make enough plays.
It felt like travel affected USC at Michigan with their inability to do anything in the first half. This time USC was the far better team in the first half. So I'm not sure exactly it's the travel unless it's you wear down, late at night here on the East Coast, but it's still not even that late. So normally I would say travel probably impacts you more in the first half than the second because by the second you've got the adrenaline, you're all riled up. But for the second straight week, USC's been up by 14 at the half, once at home, once on the road. And they did the same thing this week that they did at home last week. Obviously to a better team, but a good team like a Penn State and Ohio State and Oregon, they'd probably blow USC out in the second half in this game with all the mistakes that Maryland made and still won.
I will say early in the game, the offense was not very good. Josh Henson lit into the offensive line on the sideline, threw his sunglasses, was up in people's faces, and then they started making some progress. But that was after 2 drives. And you think about, what could have been with 2 drives. Did they wake up too late? Whatever for this game, it's inexcusable to lose to Maryland at 29-28. To be able to put more points on a defense like Maryland, it's not a very good defense. It's a mediocre defense. Miller Moss probably got pressured a little bit more than he should. But it comes down to depth of talent, and USC, that goes back to recruiting the last 3 years, last 5 years. It's just not enough. They don't have enough dudes, and until they get enough dudes and make enough play calls, we're going to keep seeing the same results over and over. USC last week showed signs of what a team they could be. and that they could potentially go on a run the second half. But at the same time, they keep showing all these signs of they're going to get in their own way, whether it be penalties, whether it be mistakes. And tonight the mistakes are what really did them in. The porous blocking on that field goal. Just as soon as that happened, you just felt like, all right, Maryland's going to win this game. They're going to go down and score, and then how long is USC going to have to try to mount a comeback? And obviously it wasn't enough, and they weren't able to get into field goal range, even though they got the ball to midfield. Weren't able to get enough to get a chance for Michael Lance to get some redemption on it. Instead, you see the fans come out and storm the field.
Yeah, about a month ago, felt pretty good about this team. We're hyping up Lincoln Riley and the moves that he made over the offseason, bringing in Danton Lynn and what he had done to the USC defense. Felt like this team was probably on pace to make the college football playoff after the win against LSU, their response against Wisconsin, and knowing what they had in front of them. Now they're 3-4. Lincoln Riley's under 500 for the first time in his career. What's in store for the future, not only of this program, but for Lincoln Riley?
Yeah, Miller Moss said that they're going to, rally around each other. They said before the season that they were dedicated to each other, and that's something that maybe wasn't the case last year. So when things went wrong, it kind of fell apart with a quickness. This team, even though they've lost all these heartbreaking games, they just continue to battle, and I will give them a lot of credit for that, the way they're battling. I just don't think they have enough dudes right now, and they're not being put in enough good situations to be able to pull out games right now. But they've got to rally around each other and try to just turn it on and, get bowl eligible, and then continue to build from there with the young guys. You're going to see more and more young guys out there. We saw Cam Fountain out there a little bit, more Sam Green, more Jade Abasiri in this game. So those young defensive players. Desmond Stevens had an interception but was called off because Kamari Ramsey, they called the quarterback forward progress down, so he got the sack instead of the interception for Desmond Stevens. But some of those young guys are going to continue to get more opportunities because it's close to being a lost season at this point from USC standards. Now, USC's gone through bad stretches in their history, but this team has enough talent that they should be able to win these games. Now, they do need to get more dudes so that when somebody goes down, someone can step in and, you don't feel like there's a gigantic drop-off. But right now, just not making enough plays and not winning games.
And Lincoln Riley's message to the team was exactly that. Hey, after the loss last week to Penn State, we talked about how we were all together before the season. Now, was that conditioned on just when things are going well or when things are going poorly? That was his rallying cry for USC coming into this week. Obviously, it didn't work. The Trojans still lost, and now they have to do it on a short week next week with Rutgers coming to town. That's a must-win for USC. A Rutgers team that lost at home to UCLA today, that has to make the trip from New Jersey to Los Angeles to play on a Friday in the Coliseum. Obviously a short week for a banged-up USC squad, but maybe there's some positives there that there's less time to think about the game and this one specifically, but that is an absolute must-win for USC.
Yeah, they've got to win that game and then heal up. They got a bye week after that. You got to heal up and also or a couple weeks after that, 2 weeks after that. But they have an extra day of rest there. Just refocus. If you can win at home and then refocus before you go on the road again. I know you're not coming east, but you're going up to Seattle. Just refocus and try to turn the tide of the season and build momentum as the rest of the season goes along. And I thought they were going to be able to do that starting in this game. Was not the case, or it was the case for 2.5 quarters, and then that interception kind of changed the tide of everything, and USC could not ever get their footing and kind of put their foot on Maryland's throat. They kept just kind of letting them hang around. When they would get a stop, they wouldn't immediately go score. When they would score, they wouldn't give up something. So the two sides, it's all about the cohesive play. And right now, they're just not getting enough plays being made on both sides of the ball.
Probably on all three sides of the ball, too, with the blocked field goal. But Trojans have lost 3 straight. Feels to me, at least, like they're one-upping themselves every week. But at this point, it's not surprising because it's just the script for this team right now and the way that they've lost games, 4 losses by a combined 14 points. But we'll break it all down as the week goes on. Obviously, a short week, so I have to get ready for Rutgers quickly as well. But for Shotgun Spratling, I'm Jack Smith. Thanks for watching Instant Analysis. USC falls 29-28 in Maryland. We'll see you next time on Instant Analysis.